My name is Anna, and my journey alongside Pedro has always been a tale of love and commitment. We met in the corridors of college, where the flame of romance began to shine in our young and hopeful eyes. Together, we built a solid foundation of shared dreams, fueled by smiles, hugs, and promises of a bright future. Pedro was more than just the ideal husband, he was my safe haven amidst life's storms. His dedication, affection, and constant presence made me feel complete and loved. Every significant moment was celebrated side by side, every challenge faced with unity and determination. However, even in the most solid love stories, there are dark chapters. The pressure of work began to cast a shadow over us. Pedro delved deeper into professional demands, seeking new heights of success and recognition. Meanwhile, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to my consulting career, striving to balance personal and professional life as best as I could. It was in this context of stress and turmoil that an unexpected call changed the course of our story. Mr. Alberto, an old client known for his refined manners and business success, requested an urgent visit to his residence. His charm and kindness were undeniable, and his interest in me surpassed the bounds of professionalism. Upon entering Mr. Alberto's house that afternoon, I was enveloped in an atmosphere of subtle seduction, permeated by warm smiles and compliments that seemed to transcend formalities. He appeared enchanted by my presence, making suggestive comments that flirted with the forbidden. Initially, I tried to maintain a professional demeanor, but as the afternoon progressed, the tension between us became more palpable, like an invisible yet tangible electric current. The conversation flowed lightly and engagingly, but the seductive atmosphere hung in the air like a charged cloud. Mr. Alberto offered a glass of wine, and I, trying to maintain composure amidst the growing tension, accepted. The alcohol mixed with the atmosphere of enchantment and flirtation began to cloud my judgment, undermining the barriers I had erected to protect my marriage and my values. What started as a professional visit quickly veered into unknown territories, where temptation and forbidden passion danced a dangerous tango. Mr. Alberto revealed himself as a master in the art of seduction, and I, caught in a web of desire and guilt, allowed myself to dive into a moment of weakness that would change the course of our lives forever. The crushing weight of guilt turned each step towards Mr. Alberto's door into a confirmation of my betrayal. Every beat of my heart was a painful echo of what I had done, betraying not only my husband but also the person I believed myself to be. That walk to the door was like traversing a minefield of remorse and regret, aware that I was crumbling not just my marriage but also the foundations of my own integrity. Back in my home, trying to act as if nothing had happened was like dancing on burning coals. Guilt and shame were like invisible chains dragging me down, suffocating any semblance of normalcy in my life. Every lie to cover up the truth was an additional weight on my shoulders, a burden I knew would eventually be uncovered. Pedro was not foolish, he noticed the change in my behavior, the lies I desperately spun to keep up appearances. His questioning gaze was like a sharp blade, cutting through the facade I tried to maintain. I knew it was only a matter of time until everything came to light, until the truth burned like acid in our lives. The confession was a painful path to truth. Facing Pedro's disappointment was like being struck by a storm of cruel emotions. He offered forgiveness, but the damage caused by the betrayal had already been done. That scar, that open wound, was now part of our story, marking each moment with a shadow of distrust and hurt. Now I stand at a crossroads, struggling to rebuild what was destroyed. The journey to regain broken trust is a steep and thorny road, where each stone is a painful reminder of my reckless choices. Betrayal taught me, in a brutal way, about the bitter price of succumbing to temptations and how trust, once broken, is a challenging art to restore. This is my story, a narrative of love, weakness, and quest for redemption, where I learned that the easiest choices are not always the right ones and that rebuilding a relationship is a battle of determination and humility. I hope you enjoyed our initial narrative. Before we move on to the next story, I would like to invite you to show your support by leaving a like, making comments, and subscribing to the channel. This encourages us to keep producing more content for you. Let's move forward together. My name is Alex, and my life turned upside down when I discovered that my wife, Sarah, was cheating on me with our neighbor, Jake. Our story began as a modern fairy tale. We met in college, where we were inseparable. Sarah was my rock, the person I thought would never let me down. We got married young, full of dreams and plans for the future. I worked hard to build our life together while Sarah explored her passion for photography. We had a beautiful house in the suburbs, a lovely family, and it seemed like nothing could shake our love. But then Jake moved into the house next door. He was the opposite of me in many ways. Adventurous, charming, and always ready for a new experience. I never suspected that he could pose a threat to our marriage. Things started to change gradually. Sarah grew more distant, avoiding my hugs and diminishing our intimate conversations. I attributed this to work stress and the pressures of daily life. It was on a summer night that everything came to light. I came home early from work and found Sarah and Jake in a compromising situation. The shock and pain hit me like a punch to the gut. My heart shattered into a million pieces seeing the woman I loved in another man's arms. The scene of betrayal was etched into my mind like a slow-motion movie. I entered the house, expecting to find Sarah relaxing after a day of work. Instead, I was greeted with the sight that would change everything. Muffled voices came from the bedroom, an indistinct murmur that triggered my investigative instinct. The slightly open door allowed me to see Sarah and Jake in an intimate embrace, their faces too close for any innocent explanation. A whirlwind of emotions took over me. Denial was the first to manifest, followed by a visceral anger that burned like fire inside me. I walked towards the bedroom, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it was about to explode. The tense silence that followed my appearance was broken by Sarah's stumbling apologies that sounded hollow to my ears. She tried to hold my hand, but I recoiled as if her touch was poison. Jake, on the other hand, maintained a smug smile on his face, as if he wasn't at all remorseful for the devastation he caused. He stood up slowly, his eyes meeting mine with a mix of disdain and triumph. There were no shouts, just a heavy silence laden with disappointment and betrayal. Words seemed inadequate to express the magnitude of the pain I felt in that moment. My perfect world crumbled before me, revealing a cruel and unforgiving reality. Sarah tried to explain, crying tears that I didn't know were from genuine remorse or simply regret at being caught. She said it was a mistake, a moment of weakness that meant nothing. But to me it meant everything. The weeks that followed were an internal battle between the desire to forgive and the need for justice. The betrayal created a chasm between us, a void that couldn't be filled with apologies or broken promises. I found myself questioning every moment of our relationship, every glance that seemed to hold a hidden meaning now revealed. The love that once sustained me now turned into an open wound, a permanent scar on my heart. The betrayal not only shattered my trust in Sarah but also changed my view of the world. The innocence of youth gave way to the harsh reality of betrayal, a reality in which no one is immune to the erosion of time and temptations. And so, I found myself navigating a sea of confused emotions, struggling to make sense of a love story that had turned into a personal tragedy. Looking back, I see the signs I ignored, the little lies that now became as clear as day. The betrayal left me with invisible scars, painful memories of a time when I believed in the purity of our love. Now, I carry the baggage of a broken heart and the uncertainty of what the future holds for me. Did you enjoy our second story? Before we move on to the next narrative, don't forget to leave your like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep producing more content for you. Ready to dive into another story full of drama and emotion? Let's go! My name is Lucas, and my life as a professional basketball player has always been a roller coaster of emotions. The courts were my stage, where I achieved victories and celebrated triumphs, but behind the scenes of this glamorous life hid a dark story of betrayal and temptation. My wife, Sophia, was my anchor, my safe harbor. Since our college days, she had been by my side, encouraging my dreams and sharing my victories and defeats. Our relationship was a fortress, built with years of complicity, trust, and mutual love. However, the world of professional basketball is unforgiving. Constant travels to participate in national and international championships put our relationship to the test. Long periods apart, the pressure of games, and the temptation of post-victory parties created fertile ground for betrayal. It was during one of these trips that I met Laura, a captivating and charismatic sports journalist. Our backstage conversations during interviews became increasingly intimate, and the chemistry between us was as palpable as the energy on a basketball court. In the heat of the moment, I let myself be carried away by the forbidden passion that blossomed between us. The emotional connection and adrenaline of the moment clouded my judgment, and I succumbed to temptation, betraying Sophia's trust and loyalty. The betrayal was not just a momentary mistake, but a breach that shook the solid foundation of our marriage. The furtive meetings in hotels became a dark routine during trips, a dangerous dance between desire and guilt. Every time I closed the hotel room door behind me, a feeling of euphoria and regret mixed. I convinced myself that it wouldn't affect my marriage, that it was just a temporary escape from the pressures of sports and public life. But the truth was that I was digging an abyss between me and Sophia, a distance that grew with each clandestine encounter. One day, returning from another trip, I was greeted by a heavy and palpable silence at home. Sophia was visibly shaken, her eyes filled with sadness and disappointment as she held a letter in her trembling hands. It was an anonymous note, a letter revealing intimate and disturbing details of my encounters with Laura. My heart sank in my chest as I realized that my betrayal had been exposed, that all the lies and disguises were now laid bare before us. The confrontation that followed was an emotional storm, a whirlwind of emotions clashing and echoing through the walls of our home. Sophia's tears, the pain in her eyes, the accusing words echoing in the room. It was all like a direct blow to my heart. My world collapsed as I saw how my recklessness and selfishness had hurt the person I loved most, breaking the trust we had built with so much effort over the years. Sophia didn't shout or get angry. She just looked me in the eyes, her red eyes reflecting a mix of sadness and determination, and said words that would echo in my mind forever. "You broke our marriage, Lucas. Now we'll have to face the consequences together, even if it means facing the pain and reality we created." Those words were like a final blow, a brutal awakening to the gravity of my choices and the need to face the consequences of my actions. The pain of betraying Sophia was like a storm that didn't pass. It was a whirlwind of emotions, a chaotic mix of regret, sadness, and remorse that seemed endless. Every night was a battle against guilt, every sigh a painful reminder of the damage I had caused. Her forgiveness came gradually, like the sunlight after a long storm. First were words of comfort, followed by gentle gestures seeking to heal the wounds I had inflicted. But even with her forgiveness, the broken trust between us was like a deep scar, an indelible mark that would always be present, reminding me of the devastating consequences of my actions. Since then, every basketball game I play is a duality of feelings. On one hand, the passion for the sport that has always brought me joy and fulfillment. On the other, the constant reminder of the price I paid for my wrong choices. Every basket scored is a victory tinged with bitterness, every applause a mixture of recognition and penance. Every trip I take is also an inner journey. The places I visit bring memories of happy moments shared with Sophia, but also carry the weight of painful memories of betrayal. Every beautiful landscape is a reminder of the fragile beauty of human relationships, always vulnerable to our decisions and actions. Betrayal taught me in the harshest way that the glories on the basketball courts are not worth the sacrifice of those we love. Fame and success in games cannot compensate for the loss of trust and intimacy with someone special. It's a price too high to pay, a lesson I learned too late, but one I now carry as a constant reminder of what truly matters in life. This is my story of love, betrayal, and redemption. A journey marked by mistakes that shaped who I am today, a narrative of downfall and resurgence. Betrayal was my lowest point, but it was also the catalyst for my search for redemption. I learned that the true meaning of commitment and loyalty is not just in words but in constant actions and in a continuous quest to be a better person every day. Thank you for watching and engaging with this profound story. If you related to it or learned something valuable, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Leave your comment sharing your reflections and experiences. And if you enjoyed the video and believe in the importance of addressing complex topics like this, don't hesitate to leave your like.